A beautiful, warm welcome to our family here in the Light Warrior Collective, and to a very special lady, Francisca Mandeya, who's walked an interesting journey from her birth home of Zimbabwe in the southern part of Africa, and who now lives in the Arctic Circle in Canada. So, just from a weather perspective, she's gone from one extreme to the next. An interesting lady who has inspired many people by the way in which she holds herself as a mother, as a woman, as a grandmother, as a gender equality activist. And one of the things that strikes me when I think of her and I reflect back on reading one of her two books, Mother, Behold Your Son, was that this instrument she's going to share with us today was very much part of her journey and the journey of her family. So I'm sure she will tell us a little bit more about that, but certainly very interesting. And she brings an African instrument. I'm not even going to say the name, I might say it wrong, to the collective today, and I'll let Francisca take over from here. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. This song is called Anironda. She has a wound. They are following her. Tears flow down her eyes. She has been losing weight. But she's walking in faith, and she's been grateful. Her wounds are healing because the words she speaks, the thoughts she thinks are positive, and therefore she is healing. I don't know why I started with this song, but this is a song dedicated to everyone who has at some point felt pain, disappointment, anxiety, stress because of what has been happening to her. But one thing I know is that if we change our thoughts, if we change our words, we will start to heal. It doesn't matter what has happened to us. So this is the instrument that you were hearing. It's the 15 key one called Nyunga Nyunga. And at some point in my country, in Zimbabwe, this instrument was banned. Our ancestors used it to transcend. This is the way they spoke to God, through the ancestors. Then God above was the higher power, is the higher power up to now. And so when I play Mbira, it's reclaiming my voice. I sing for myself. I sing for my children, with my children, but I also sing for my ancestors who could not sing even when they wanted to sing, who could not be themselves when they wanted to be themselves. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I am going to play another song. I'll just play whatever the Spirit leads me to play. That's Nema Msasa. It's a song that our ancestors used to sing. We still sing it to encourage people to work hard. If you do not work hard and just look at the sun, poverty will be with you. So we are encouraged to work hard. One of the things that I want to do is for people to get to know me. Before I speak, I want to be grateful to Vivian, who I connected with because of this book, Mother, Behold Thy Son. I wrote Mother, Behold Thy Son because when I turned 48, the age my mother died, that was in 2018, I turned 48. My mother died in 1992. at age 48. I asked myself, if I died this year, what would I have done in this life? And I was scared. I was crying for my mother dying so young and questioning whether she had done everything that she needed to do in her life and if she died happy. I realized that my mother named me Ndaisiwe. Ndaisiwe means had I known. It's a loaded question. It's full of regret, full of pain, maybe shame, maybe guilt. But my mother told me that because I was born girl number 3 in a succession of girls, and in a society where everyone was expecting my mother to produce an heir, there I came. And so my mother got sick physically, got sick mentally. She was not okay. I think she had postpartum or something. Then people couldn't tell what it was, but she told me the story that she was always sleeping on a mat. And she was shamed for giving birth to me. And so I came into this world with this energy of, you are not enough. Boys were valued more. And the evidence is that my brother, who came after me, was named Munyaradzi, the one that brings peace. So for me to live that life of knowing that godchildren, yeah, you're born, but as for me, I was a source of pain to my mother and my father. And so growing up again in a society where even away from home, I took punches for being smarter than some boys in primary school. And in secondary school, I was groped by boys, touching my body, shaming my body. And when I went to the headmaster to complain that I do not like what the boys are doing to me, he would smile and say, boys will be boys. And I always questioned, why are girls being treated like this? I had this anger in me. When I got married, and I'll say married in quotes, I lived for 12 years in a marriage that grieved me. And I'm sure it grieved the children, my children's father. But I stayed there because we are told that good girls stay in their marriages. And so as I reflected at 48 and looked back, all these things came up for me. This is my life story. This is the journey I have traveled. But there came a time when I knew that I just didn't deserve to live this kind of life. I'm an equal human being with equal human rights, deserving equal treatment. And therefore, I decided to stand up and speak up. And I went to places where I got empowered to know my rights because I knew that there was something was missing. And so as I thought about what had gone on in my life, all the boys and men and how they had treated me and how I still carried pain in my body, I said to myself, I am going to change the system that has been grieving me. This is what I'm going to do at 48 before I die. So I went back to my life, especially as a parent. I was a student mother at age 22. I was in university. That's the same year my mother died. The next year, again, I became a student mother. I was still in college, university, and I had my second baby, as if that was not enough. So there I was. My mother died. I have a baby. My father dies. That was my life, 92, 93. And when it was time to talk about what happens with the family wealth, we were told straight in our faces, girls, sit down and shut up. There is nothing for you in this home. I had not been raised by my own father to feel that I'm less important. If there were any things that we felt were not just in the family, I was the girl that spoke to her father and told him straight in the face that I want to go to the same school as my brother, and I would be free enough to express myself to my father. So at least when I was growing up, I did not believe that I was not equal to my brother. So my father didn't teach me that. My mother didn't teach me that. But when they were gone, society taught us that we were not equal. And so my brother got everything that my parents had worked for. And so the pain of realizing that I'm worth nothing again really hit me. And I was a mother of 2 little babies. And so that's when I made a vow. I vowed that I would never, never, ever raise my girls to believe that they were not equal. I learned to convert that pain into my power. But one thing I've learned is that when I look back and look at how I have moved from that pain to where I am now, I know that we have to change our perspective regarding pain. Before we can turn pain into purpose, there's something in between. I came up with some steps: pain at the bottom, perspective on the second rung, purpose on the third rung, profit on the fourth rung, and prosperity. That was a reflection when I was looking at my life. So we have to change our perspective. I was doing this unconsciously as a young mother and saying, I'm never going to do this to my kids. I'm going to make sure that I raise them. And this is where the Mbira story comes in. As I was teaching my children that they are equal human beings, you know, when you are in a system where even the family, people are telling you you're not equal, and you can see you are not. In society, you're not equal. At work, you're not equal. In a marriage, you're not equal. So how could I, as a mother, conquer all these systems? So yes, I taught my children the rights that I had gone to learn myself, but I also used my instrument to cement the relationship between my children and I. So we composed a song called Takayenzana. I'm not able to play it on my own. I've always played it as a family with my children. But it was cementing the fact that I commit as a parent to raise you, my children, as equals in my home. At least in this home, you know that you are worthy. No one is more important than the other. I gave birth to my son when I was 28, excuse me. And yeah, that's when I really began to fear about what kind of man he would be. Because I knew that all the men, most of them in my life, they had really drilled it down that I'm not a worthy, equal human being. So as a mother, empowering my girls was easy, but what about my boy? And so I made a commitment to sing with them and cement the message that in this home, we are equal. I didn't end there. I taught my boy to cook, to clean, to change diapers for my nephews and my nephews and nieces who used to visit us. And it felt good that at least I am doing something to change a reality that hit me so hard that I carried pain in my chest like a knife. For the most part of my prime years, I was living in pain, but I was also learning, how do I take away the pain from my heart, and how do I make sure that I'm creating the future that I want? So as a mother, I just knew that I have power to change the reality, at least in my home. And when the kids go to school, they would be equipped because I taught them to respect themselves, respect their rights, stand up and speak, and also to honor their responsibilities by being loving and kind to other human beings. So this is my story when it comes to gender equality. The book, Mother Behold Thy Son, is not just for my son. It's for other sons by extension. And I say it in this book that as mothers, if we all raised our children to say they are beautiful, they have their rights, they didn't have a choice to be born as who they are, whether it's the country, whether it's their parents, whether it's their status. We do not choose, we do not pick on a menu that I want to come out this way, I want to be born to these parents in this country. We do not. So if we all taught our children that they are equal and they ought to treat other people as equals, what would happen? So this is the story of Mother Behold Thy Son. The Mbira helped me to do things that I would not be able to do by myself. I just feel like my bond with my kids was a spiritual bond that I could not explain myself, because we would always just be together. No one asked anyone to sing a part, but we would just organize ourselves. Even when there was tension as I was raising my kids, even as teenagers, we would have run-ins with the kids. But every time I went to my Mbira and I started playing, they would all gather and we would sing. Or if my other daughter, who was my main teacher, would start singing, then we would go and join her. And there was just this magical bond, and that I'm grateful for. There was also a time in my life when I felt that my life was not worth living. My heart was shattered into pieces, and as I tried to pick all the pieces up, I got overwhelmed by a heartbreak. This business that we are not enough unless we are married is serious business in my culture. If you do not have a Mrs. before your name, the way society treats you, I know from how people treated me and my children. And there was always this not enoughness in me that I wanted to be married. And so when I thought I found somebody in 2013, I was 43. I was a big girl doing leadership trainings. People were saying, Francesca, it's powerful, inspirational, motivational. But I still was that young woman who wanted to be married, for her to have a social status that is respectable. And I gave my whole heart to this person. But I was in for a rude awakening. One day he woke up and his children didn't love me anymore. And that this relationship is not working. And so I had given a lot of my time, sacrificed my job, shown him to my children, trusted him to be dad to my children. And he just dropped me like a hot potato. And as I tried to come to terms with myself, I was so embarrassed. I wanted to die. People die of shame sometimes. I wanted to die. I wrote a note to my girls and said, your mother died. If you need any information, call this number. I was going to do it. I had cough mixture on my bedside, and I had a whole bottle of codeine. I knew how strong that cough mixture was, and I knew that if I took the whole bottle of codeine, I would just go to sleep and never wake up. Or at least that's what I thought. Before I did it, my son was sleeping next door. He was the only child that was at home. And I asked myself, what will my son see when he wakes up? And that was my turning point. And so when I went to seek help with counselors, there was also something that I did for myself afterwards. I composed a song called Mbira. And I vowed that I would tell my story to people, that your life is not worth losing for anybody, and that we must raise our hands and seek help. We should not be ashamed when we have done things that people may look at and judge us to say, but she's the one that teaches leadership. How could she? She's the one who is a counselor. How could she? She is a mother. She's got kids. She was so selfish. How could she? We tend to do that to people who die by suicide. But what I know is they will be in pain. They'll be looking for ways to escape from that pain. But one thing I'm very sure of now is we do not take away the pain when we take our own lives. We leave the pain with those that remain. And so I sing sometimes for suicide prevention. And I tell my story so that if there's anybody who needs to hear it, will perhaps change their mind and find healing. Raise your hands, go and seek help. So my perspective around pain has since shifted as I look back at my life. It is my perspective. What do I do with pain? Do I take it as a gift and opportunity? Or do I drown in it and go downwards, like the way I was going downward, hoping to terminate my own life? We can change how we dance with pain. Positive thoughts. That's the first song that I sang. Fungwadzano funga, mashoko ano panga. The thoughts that she is thinking and the words that she is saying are beginning to heal her. Positive thoughts and positive words will result in positive action. And as we step into purpose, because we have dealt with our pain and our perspective has changed, and now we can clearly see everything that happened for us was happening to direct us towards our purpose, but it depends on our mindset. Are we thinking that way? Do we have the capacity or the ability to receive pain and dance with it in such a way that we see the gift and the opportunity in it? And after we step into purpose, then maybe we can turn that purpose into profit. Of course, when I wrote my book, it was, I want to build a movement. I want to change an undesired reality and get mothers together to raise their children so that they may have a chance at being equal, being more loving, and having freedom for everyone. So now we're talking, turning the purpose into profit. And then maybe that profit into prosperity. And prosperity is not just about the dollar sign. It's about living on purpose and earning from it, and also being happy, having joy. And that doesn't guarantee that if you are prosperous, you're not going to go down to pain again. But we can dance every day with pain and see the gift in it and be happy no matter what is happening to us. So I don't know how the Mbira has landed on your heart. For me, it heals me.